Hi, this is Brian Icenhower. Welcome today. I am here with a good friend, Dale Archdeacon from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dale, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Love being here.
Yeah, hey, Dale, we're all privileged to have Dale on the show. Dale's team did 250 million in production and about 600 units per year. Pretty excited about that. They have 4 ISAs that Dale works with. We've been working together for over a year and a half now. Dale himself coaches team leaders, inside sales agents directly, and even agents that just want to convert leads. Isn't that right, Dale?
That's right.
Yeah. So this is going to be awesome. Trying to pick your brain about some of the topics we got today.
Yeah. It's funny is usually people come to me and they're like, hey, you're really good at inside sales. And my agents aren't working the leads I'm giving them. So we want to hire an inside sales agent. And I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. But yeah. I don't know if we're going to fix your marriage by having a baby. So let's do some marriage counseling first with your agents.
Boy, I'll tell you, amen on that one. That's actually a great point. Yeah, there's something not in place if we're having that problem. We got to fix what's not in place.
Well, you know what is funny, and I'm sure you've seen this all the time, Brian, yourself, is that running inside sales requires the highest level of accountability, right? In order to make it profitable and make it work, it requires the highest level of management, the highest level of accountability that you can bring to the table, right? It's just another level that you have to go to. And if you don't, you need to have the same level of accountability for your agents too.
Agreed. And so if these agents or these people are calling and saying, hey, my people are not following up with the leads, I want to go way back to the basics here for a second. Okay. So a lead comes in, right? All leads are not created equal, correct?
Correct.
So tell me, what's the first thing we're trying to do when a lead comes in? Do by way of classifying that lead, right?
Yeah. So first off, everybody should understand the different lead types that we have, right? The different lead sources. So typically, the less you pay for a lead source, unless it's referral or just sphere because you've been in business for 40 years, the less you pay for the lead, the more of them you're going to need in order to get a conversion, right?
Correct.
Typically, hopefully, the more you pay for the lead, the fewer of them you're going to get, but the better quality they're going to be.
One would think.
One would hope, right?
Yes.
That's why we got to keep an eye on the budget. So typically, you want your agents and ISAs to understand what lead source is this, because you want them to have the right mindset around it. So if you're getting a ton of website registrations or responses to your Facebook ads or whatever it may be, you want your agents and ISAs to have the right mindset that, listen, we're going to kiss all these frogs the same, and one of them is going to turn out to be a prince, and that's just the way it's going to work. So let's not get upset and disregard them, because if we're going to convert 3 or 4 or 5% of them, we don't know which one of them the 3 or 4 or 5% is going to be.
Yeah, and I think letting those numbers be known, because if you don't let them know that it's considerably a losing proposition, right? People, if you have a favorite baseball player and he gets up to bat every single time, you can make the all-star team if you bat 300, which means you hit the ball 30% of the time, which means 70% of the time you fail.
Yes.
You can say, wow, that guy's terrible because he's only hitting the ball 35% of the time.
Yeah.
He's going to be the MVP of the league if he does that, though. So we have to set the right expectations with the people that are converting the leads, or what's going to happen is they're going to follow up and immediately assess all the leads as terrible and get discouraged.
Right. Exactly. So if you're not willing, tell them, basically show them, get them to understand, if you're not willing to invest that 70% of strikeouts, that 70% of failure, you will not get the 30%.
Right. No all-star team. That's right.
It's not going to happen. So that's the first place to start. We want people to be in the right mindset, right? We want them to be on the right page. Then when these things come in, when these people
humans,
human beings, right? When they give us their information and when we get in touch with them, we really just want to start out with finding out about them. And it's not about these you know what I kind of break with most of the trainers and coaches and everything that's standard out there in the industry. It's not about having a clever conversation. It's not about tricking somebody into something. It's not about fooling them. It's about having a legitimate conversation with another person. And I like to break down the conversation that you have with somebody into three critical elements. And if you follow these three critical elements and just remember, in my conversation, am I tracking toward any of these three, you're going to be on course for converting this person. And that would be motivation, their motivation. Do they have motivation, right? Do they have ability? And do they have the willingness to meet with us or work with us? Those three critical things. That's really what you're looking for.
Agreed. And what we're looking to do with those three elements, motivation, ability, and willingness, which I love, we're not to do that. We have to ask questions, right? We can't
Right.
just be telling them. We're not trying
No.
to manipulate them and close them in the traditional sense. We're coming from curiosity here and asking questions to find out those three things.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I'll demonstrate it for you, right? So if so we first want to see, do you have motivation, right?
Sure.
Do you have motivation? If you do, great. Let's move on and ask lots of questions about what you're motivated to do and whether you're going to be able to do it. Okay,
Right.
that's ability. If the answer is no to motivation or not yet, why?
Right.
Make it make sense to me. Let me understand your situation the way you understand your situation.
Right. Which is often inaccurate, right?
A lot of times.
Yeah, they don't quite know the whole situation. That's why we are the ones with the licenses. We are the ones that have some experience in this business, right? So and that's how we're seeking to help. Right?
Exactly. And we understand that through questions, right?
Sure.
We don't understand that by trying to change your mind or negate what you have going on. We first seek to understand. Let me understand you like you understand you. And then when I really understand what it is that you want, maybe we can find a faster, cheaper, easier, better way for you to get it, or
Right.
even more of whatever you're looking for.
I think that's the key to just about every step in sales is we have to dig into their motivation. I mean, it always starts there, right?
Yeah.
And that motivation starts to determine their ability and then their willingness to move forward if they have the ability. It does tie in because I think the whole purpose here, when we talk about assessing the quality of a lead or the classification of a lead or person as they come in, we're typically always trying to determine how best we can help them, which means how best we can follow up with them, right? So don't we rate these guys based upon that sense of urgency on how quick they're going to be moving based on our best guess on that first phone call?
Yes, absolutely. We definitely want to do that.
So talk about how you rate and categorize those inbound leads when they come in.
Okay, so typically you're going to have, the standard qualifications, like a 0 to 30, a 30 to say 90, and a 90 plus or something like that, right?
Okay.
These are the big buckets that you're going to put people into, just so that I understand and I can sort of forecast and I can look at my spread of nurtures, right? And I can see like a leaderboard, right? I want to see how these people stack up and who I'm going to be following up with when. That's how you really organize your follow-up.
Right. So we're talking like, and these get talked about as all different types of names, right? Your A leads are often called your 0 to 30 people. Your 30 to 90 people will call your B leads, let's say. Your C leads could be your 90 plus or 92 a year or 92 a year and a half. Hot leads, warm leads, cool leads, however you want to name those. It's all based upon that initial call or that initial contact where we start to determine their motivation, ability, and willingness. So we're using that like a thermometer to kind of take the temperature to see how fast we think this person is going to be able and willing to move.
Yes. And we'll ask some questions about that, and not just when do you think you'll be moving, right? Because oftentimes you're going to get, I'm not sure, or sometime next spring, or some vague answer. So other than the I have absolutely no idea answer, you may get some kind of inkling of when things are going to happen. What we like to do with everybody is ask them process questions, just like you would if you were interviewing somebody, right? I'm
Sure.
going to ask you process questions about, okay, let's work backwards. So if you were going to be in your home by X date, when would you go out and start looking at homes? If you were going to be moving in the spring, do you think it'd be more like March or April or May?
So
Right?
we work backwards down that timeline.
Yeah.
So we
Talk
find
through it
out
with them.
when it's going to be, and then we actually start backing with, okay, so when would you be ready to that? And then we can start getting an idea of really pinpointing which bucket we're going to throw them into, uh,
Yes.
gently. And
Yeah. Place them in.
okay, and then I like that. I like that a lot. Yes, place them in. So then,
And then let me give you one more
sure.
point about that. Another reason that we do that, we get them to think down the path. We can also uncover, where do I insert myself, right, into the process, and then get you to agree that I should be inserted into the process at that point. And now you and I have a tentative agreement for a future conversation.
Yeah, I like that. It's almost like we're getting a partnership to at least help them out along the way. Because
Right.
what happens in those different buckets, right? You got the A, the B's, and the C's. Let's just call them that. Okay. So that actually determines the amount of frequency of your follow up with them, correct?
Yes.
Right. So if let's say we've got an A lead, we're going to be staying in contact a lot more frequent because we know that they're planning on moving in sometime between now and the next 30 days, as opposed to a C lead that it's really a little too premature to be blowing them up through every, phone and email and text message.
Right.
So we spread
That's
them out a
true.
little bit.
That's true. And so, Brian, the way that we've designed and the way that we run lead follow-up is that we automate as much as we can. And then we figure out what you're talking about is we figure out what the personal touches are, the actual activities that I'm going to do to take out to follow up with you, right? The live follow-ups on top of my automated follow-ups with you. So in our systems, everybody, with the exception of that person who I have an appointment with, is going to have the same consistent automated follow-up from me, right? Through emails and sometimes text messages that are planned out in a sequence that everybody goes on, right? And it just looks like personal touches that we're sending to you, coming directly from me as a person. Looks like I sat down at my computer and wrote you an email.
And just to clarify that, everybody in the same bucket, right? So the A leads are all going to be on the exact same plan.
They're all on the same plan. A's, B's, C's, everybody.
Just different frequencies that they're sent out.
Nope. Everybody gets the same consistent automated drips to keep us sane.
Got it. Okay.
What changes is our active outreach to those people.
Okay. Tell me about that. Tell me what the active outreach is for each A, B, or C, if we call them.
Yeah. So what we do is, depending on their time frame, we use the standard where you cut it in half, right? Yeah. So we'll take whatever their time is, cut it in half. Actually, first what we do, so you're talking to somebody and they turn out to be a nurturer, right?
Yep.
They're going to go into one of these buckets. We don't set an appointment with them right now, and we don't think that we're going to be setting an appointment with them in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. That's the qualification.
Sure.
So now you're going to go into our follow-up system.
Right.
So you're set onto the same automated follow-up with emails and texts. On top of that, I'm going to tag you in my system so that I know that I'm going to take whatever the time frame is. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to reach out to you at the halfway point. Oh, I skipped over something. The reason I went backwards. I just spoke to you. You're going into my system. Mm-hmm. The first touch is going to be a couple days after you get put into my system.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure you're getting the emails that are coming for your home search, and that my communications are coming through to you. It's just another check-in to make sure.
It gives you a reason to call. Gives you a reason.
Yeah. And make sure you don't get lost in cold storage somewhere, right? And,
right.
And you aren't getting this stuff from us, the emails and things you should be.
Bad bucket. Right.
Right. Then halfway to whatever your time frame is, we're going to follow up again, right? Personal touch, see where you're at, check in with you. And what I think is the best thing to do, it's not just, Hey, it's Dale. Want to make sure you're still buying a house. Want to make sure you're still selling a house. Are you ready to buy or sell a house?
Right.
Instead, it's, hey, I'm checking in with you, and you're going to look at your notes, and you're going to read what it is that they told you, and you're going to revisit what it is that they told you, right? You're just going to basically paraphrase back to them, hey, last time we talked about this. Is that still the case? We talked about this. Is that still the case? I want to see if things have changed.
And you're showing that you're listening, and
I'm
you're
listening.
showing, yeah. So you're giving a lot of validation there too, which builds tremendous rapport.
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay. So in a nutshell, take me from an A, a B, or a C buyer. What is the degree of your phone calls, the automated part, to an A versus a B versus a C? Like, for example, are you calling the A's every week, twice a week? B's, how frequent? C's, how frequent? What's the norm you think it should be?
Okay. I need to talk about this concept first.
Sure.
Because the vast majority of agents and the things that I hear out there go something like, hey, when are you looking to buy a home? When do you want to be in your new home? Oh, I have no idea. We're just looking right now. And I'll let you know. We're getting the emails. We're getting the houses you're sending. Okay, great. Can I follow up with you in a couple of months? Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That is not a nurture, okay?
Yeah.
So that is where these questions come from, where it's like, I don't know when to follow up with this person. I'm just going to keep calling them until something happens, right?
Yeah, we need to do something. There has to be some sort of action plan here, right? Yeah. Like there's a checkpoint. Like, here's where we were. We also have to say, here's what's coming next. Right.
So here's what I want to do. I want to dial back to that conversation. That conversation should dictate when you follow up with those people.
Right. Okay.
It shouldn't just be, I'm throwing darts at the board hoping that you're ready to move forward. You need to get the pieces. You need to get their pieces of their puzzle, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever they are, because that's going to determine how often you're following up with these people. So back to your question. If you're in my A bucket, for instance, and you're a 0 to 30, when I'm first speaking with you and I'm qualifying what's going on with you, I need to understand when you're going to take your next action or what your next action is going to be. I need to ask those questions.
Right. And to me, in the 0 to 30 day A bucket, your hot lead bucket, we should be trying to think about meeting. To me, that's person to person. We're moving them into either with a lender, a buyer consult, a listing appointment. We're meeting or we're showing something. We're trying to get in person there. Yeah. So that's a lot of contact, really trying to look for reasons to help them to go. If they want to move that quick, there's work to be done, right?
Yeah. And if you exit a call, if you exit that first call with what you think is a 0 to 30, and you don't understand when they're going to talk to a lender, when they're going to look at homes, when they're going to figure out the finances, when they're going to talk to the spouse, when they're going to look at their lease as to whether they can break it, call them back and find those things out.
Right.
That's your next call.
Yeah, because they're not going to get what they want in 30 days if we don't know that. Right. So we're not helping them. Okay, so now go to our Bs. Our Bs are, so give me an example of what that process moving a B, which is a 30 to 90 day buyer, let's say. What type of process, what type of moving forward to the next step are we talking about there?
Okay, so the same with A's. Do not get off that call with what you think is a B unless you understand what their process is going to look like, or without getting an agreement from them that together you're going to start some piece of the process at a certain time in the future, right? If you can.
Can you give me some examples of what that might look like? Like what would that conversation look like where you're trying to secure some sort of commitment or agreement to the future?
Yeah. So I'm not getting them to agree to work with me over the phone.
Okay.
Right? I've never met with this person. I'm not getting them to agree to anything like that.
Right.
What I'm getting them to agree to is, when will you start to look at the finances if I can't get them to talk to the lender yet?
Right.
When do you think you'd go out and start looking at homes? When do you think you'd be able to decide whether to stay in the house or to move forward? When do you think you'd be able to decide when do you think you'll start making the repairs on your home? When would you like to speak with an agent in order to find out what repairs are the best investment for you to make in your home.
See, I think that is crucial, Dale. Every one of those is a question. Every one of those questions started with a when. Very time sensitive. Everything is trying to find out when, and we're probing to look for, because if we can find something that's in range, then we can actually help them. We can start moving them towards that objective. So I really like that. You're not trying to overcome objections. You're really not trying to manipulate anything. You're not trying to win an argument here that they really need to do this now instead of later. You're just asking with that faith that they are going to give us something that's in range where we can start helping them towards that goal.
Yeah.
They can put you to work basically between now and call.
Yeah. And if what you keep getting is, I don't know, that's a legitimate answer that you're getting from this person. They don't know. They haven't thought about it yet.
Right. Which is good. You're getting them to finally think about how to do something in 30 to 90 days.
Exactly. They're going to have to at some point. Right. So you can help them work backwards in it. Right. And then you can say, okay, well, great. Can I tell you how the typical timeline works from when you do decide? Great. Now I have permission to educate you.
Yeah.
Right?
Another question. Right. Yeah. Right. That is amazing.
Let's talk about the long term, right? So the C ones, let's say 90 days plus.
Yeah. We don't call them cold. We call them cool.
Cool. There we
That's
go.
Right. It's a little bit more positive. Yeah.
So those people, you're going to hear a lot of, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of, I don't know, right? It's just, that's okay. So what you're going to do with them is same thing. You're going to try, and what we like to do is we want to get them talking about their ideal future, right? Talk about the ideal scenario and seeing themselves in it. And then if you can, try working it backwards and saying, when would you like to get started on that, right?
Right. Give me an example. Give me one hypothetical on that.
So let's say somebody's saying, we're recording this in the fall right now.
Okay.
Winter, actually, I guess. And if somebody says, you know what, we're thinking we're probably going to move like next summer. We're not really sure where we're going to go, or, how much, or even what our budget is. We just know that maybe we'd like to get a bigger home, something like that. Right?
So they're just putting it off. Right.
They have a vague idea of what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me ask you this. From the perspective of the lead, does it make sense for us to get together right now?
No.
Does it make sense for you to drive to my office and sit across the table from me, a strange salesperson?
No.
Okay. That doesn't make sense. So let's have more of a conversation to help make it make sense if we can. And if not, that's okay. What we're going to find out is, where along the line could a real estate agent help you? And when would you like to start that process?
Yeah, there we
Find out from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love the confidence in doing that too, because you'll be surprised. So let's say you ask me that question and I say, I don't know, probably, I guess sometime in the spring.
Sometime in the spring. Great. And so when you started working with an agent, what do you think the first thing is that you would do? What would you and the agent do together? Where would you be at in the process?
Well, I'm going to disagree with what they're going to say, but I'm going to say we'd be looking at houses.
Be looking at houses. Great. So how will have you figured out how you'll determine which agent is going to provide the most benefit to you in your home search?
No, we got a few friends. We do have a few friends that are agents. My nephew just got his license.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's good.
He's a great kid. 16.
Will you be using one of them?
Oh, I don't know. He's our nephew, but I don't know. I don't know my wife, she may have her friends, or I don't think we're at that stage yet. Got
it. So what I would do is I would progress with asking you more questions about what's most important to you about your home purchase, right? And I want to try to push the conversation. What I would love to find out from you is that you don't know everything about the home purchase process. You'd love to find out how you can save more or avoid risk or get a great benefit from your real estate agent, or that you would want to feel really comfortable and confident with the person that you worked with, right?
Right.
I want to find out I want to elicit those as outcomes from you, things that you want. And then I would ask you when you'd like to start that process. So if I can't get a face-to-face meeting sooner with you, then what we'll do is we'll set a tentative meeting for, you said starting in the spring, right?
Right.
You already said that. So now we've dialed that back from summer to spring.
True.
So I can shoot for that. I'm going to keep asking you questions to see if I can even bring that back a little bit farther, as close as I can get it, so that I can get a face-to-face with you.
Yeah, you're really trying to get me into the B category. You're trying to take that C and make me a B, or at least get me close enough to when I know you can. That's kind of what we're trying to do here, is move C's to B's and B's to A's throughout the whole process if we're trying to move up a timeline. Right. So that's why we're always, I love how everything you're saying has a when attached to it. Everything you're doing is according to time sensitivity here. And I think that's where we need and you do that just by asking questions about it and asking them questions about the process, because they don't realize, I mean, clients never do. They never realize all that goes into, if they want to move in the summer, they got to get on it. If they want to list in the summer, they need to get on it much earlier than that. So we're just kind of playing that out to them by asking them questions all the way through about the process.
Exactly. Now let's presume, because this happens all the time, right? Let's assume that you aren't going to buy until the summer. You're definitely not going to start looking or even working on this until late spring. Okay. So we understand that. So we've established that. Now I can't move you any farther up. I can't get a face-to-face with you. Can't get you to commit to it. So what I'm going to do is, instead, I'm going to commit to sort of our online relationship, right? So the information I'm going to be providing to you, or questions I'm going to be asking you, or questions I'm going to be answering for you, we're going to agree, I'm going to get us to agree that we're going to have another conversation at a certain time in the future, even if it's just over the phone or what have you, right?
Could you tell me how that looks? Could you?
Sure. So, hey, Brian, I hear that you and your wife really aren't going to be working on moving forward until, sometime in the future. Next spring. I totally get that. Would it be beneficial to you if we had another conversation, say, like late February, where we just get on the phone, answer any questions that you have, because at that point you're going to be much farther down in your process, and you're probably going to have some questions you want answered. Would that work for you?
Yeah, and I think anybody's going to say yes. You just put me out a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, kick the can down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that is an agreement between the two of us versus, oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, can I follow up with you in a few months randomly, right?
Right. Yeah.
Can I call you out of the blue randomly and catch you off guard, which you absolutely hate, and don't want? Like, that doesn't feel good for anybody.
Yeah, I agree. You do secure a commitment that we're going to have future conversations and that you're going to help them out. So I like that a lot.
Some of the best salespeople do it to me, and I hate it, right?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, great. So Dale, can we talk again 2 weeks from today on November 17th? And I'm like, oh, fine.
Yeah, you're a little jerk if you don't, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Because now we've agreed to it, and I said I would do it.
Otherwise, you're going into we're breaking up script, which is not very fun at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I really like this, Dale. And thank you for really outlining how we look at leads and how we categorize them and the right expectations and how we talk to them, I think that's important, how we do treat them like people and we find out their needs all the way through. Excellent stuff there today.
Thanks.
You bet. All right, Dale, everybody, thanks for being with us today. Dale, I'll be talking to you soon, my man.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Brian.
You bet.